Well, welcome everyone to our webinar on using the tools of the Episcopal Churches Foundation's Planned Giving on Demand, our comprehensive resource for planned giving. My name is Jim Murphy. I'm the Managing Program Director for Financial Resources at ECF, and it's wonderful for you to be here today. What we're trying to do tonight is both to highlight a few basics of planned giving, but also to talk about how you can use the Planned Giving on Demand toolkit, or our comprehensive resource as we call it by different names, so that you can use it to your best advantage and begin to think about the best ways to use the different tools. So this is not a very prescriptive webinar. It is more of a descriptive webinar. And do know that everyone who is on the webinar tonight, you will not only be receiving a copy of this recording and a link to order Planned Giving on Demand if you don't already have a copy, but it's also your opportunity to continue to communicate with us here at the Episcopal Church Foundation so that we can support you in growing your planned giving efforts at your congregation. So this webinar is both and. It's very Anglican. It's both and. It's for PG shepherds and for those who may not yet have gotten involved with Planned Giving on Demand and just need to learn more about planned giving generally. Unfortunately, not a lot of people who've purchased Planned Giving on Demand have signed up on our website to be Planned Giving shepherds, but I'll mention that again later. But before we get going on this, I just wanted to do a very brief introduction about the Episcopal Church Foundation. Many of you are already familiar with ECF and familiar with all of the work that we do throughout the Episcopal Church. We're an independent and lay foundation. Even though we are not a part of the National Episcopal Church or under the control of any diocese, we only serve the Episcopal Church throughout the country in its parishes, dioceses, and other related institutions. And we focus in on building up the leadership and financial capabilities of all Episcopal congregations, dioceses, and other Episcopal entities. We primarily do this in two ways, one being our leadership resources work. Many of you are familiar with Vital Practices. A copy of this webinar will be on there within the next 48 hours. You may be familiar with other publications like the Vestry Resource Guide or other educational events that we do, all of which is to focus in on empowering you to do the work that God's called you to do in your own unique and particular circumstances. Financial resources is our other main area of concentration. We have a wonderful capital campaign program where we can work with your parish or diocese on a fee-for-service basis, but those fees are based upon your operating budget, so we serve you on a sliding fee scale. Fantastic program. If you want more information, please just let me know. I oversee here at the Episcopal Church Foundation our planned giving and endowment management areas, as well as some special donor work that we do. And we are the main resource for planned giving throughout the entire Episcopal Church and have proudly been so for the past 20 years. So as a part of that effort, we had been creating a number of resources for many, many years in the area of planned giving. And over the years, it became clear that we had so many diverse resources, from webinars to booklets and brochures to manuals about how to do planned giving and articles and tremendous resources online, that it became very clear to us that we needed to create a means to empower you within your congregation to take all these resources and learn at your own pace, and also to be able to share them with others as you needed to at your parish, and not need to call ECF when there were updates. If we could provide a comprehensive resource to help you, and so that that resource would be continually replenished, that was what we were seeking to do in building up Planned Giving on Demand. And I will talk at length about Plan Giving on Demand and its tools in just a moment. But for those of you who are on the line and may not already have purchased Plan Giving on Demand, it's not expensive. It's only $29.95. Or if you happen to be one of our endowment or capital campaign clients, you would already have your free copy of the toolkit. For all of those who are just on this and just beginning to learn about plan giving, just a couple of minutes of review, and that is what plan giving is. So planned giving is a very special type of giving. It is one which focuses in on personal values, and specifically on those individuals in your congregation who feel so strongly about your parish's future mission and ministry that they wish to raise your parish to the level of family in their estate plans, to raise you to the same level that they keep their children and grandchildren. And so this is a hugely important level. And it's imperative, if you're going to move forward in your effort, that you understand how planned giving is just slightly different from other types of giving, that it does focus on the future. You are not meant to spend these gifts in the present and on operating income in general. These are gifts of passion for the giver, and you need to demonstrate that you understand how important that gift is by thanking them in culturally appropriate ways. You also need to always remember to be sensitive and gentle about individual needs, because we are talking about people's mortality, and therefore you need to be cautious and careful in how you make people aware. And many of our resources already account for this and being sensitive and being gentle, but you as leaders need to always remember this. And always remember that you are not trying to give legal, tax, or financial advice when it comes to planned giving. You are, as a part of your overall stewardship ministry, raising awareness about planned giving so that others can consider what type of planned gift would be appropriate for them. In quick summary about building trust, this is so key. I'll mention it a little bit later. But since most of these gifts will be given after people pass away, it's crucial that people can trust the leadership of the congregation and know how to give these gifts over the course of many years. It takes people a long time to even make this commitment. And then after they've decided to do this, you need to sustain that sense of trust and confidence among the donors of your congregation. One of the best ways to do this, and I'll mention again later, is by putting in place endowment and gift acceptance policies. And that's because most planned gifts end up in an endowment, because that is usually the most appropriate place for them. Very briefly, I've mentioned it already, planned giving or ultimate giving or legacy giving are a part of all the types of giving. Ordinary gifts are those gifts that support your annual budget. Extraordinary gifts are those you raise through a capital campaign or special major gifts effort. The ultimate gifts, the planned gifts, the legacy gifts are those gifts which are given out of one's estate or out of assets that people hold for retirement. And again, they are future focused, very important to the individual giving them. And it's imperative that you build trust over the long term. So I'm very sorry that I had to go through that so quickly, but just did want to hit the highest points about planned giving. And you can learn and listen to all of these points in greater depth on any of our webinars, which I'll invite you to take a look at. And if you already have Planned Giving on Demand, you know you have access to all of those webinars. So I will just commend you to get deeper in. Okay. So our main purpose here tonight is to raise your awareness about planned giving, but I also wanted to just be clear about what your biggest obstacle is. when you are doing a plan giving program. And that greatest obstacle is a lack of awareness. People do not realize that they can make these gifts to your congregation or Episcopal entity. And if you do not raise awareness appropriately to them, they may well consider someone else to give that to, or whoever may be asking them. And as I said before, building that trust is key too, because if people are not aware and they don't have a sense of trust and they don't understand the basics of what types of gifts they might give, well, in all likelihood, they may choose to give to another charity. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that the members of your congregation are being approached all the time, constantly, to give a planned gift to any number of good and deserving charities. But unfortunately, because we in the Episcopal Church are so reticent regarding money and to talk about money openly, we're also, even more so, I should say, quiet when it comes to plan giving. And so even though someone may have a great are more willing to be clear and raise awareness. So, all that said, that is why we have created this comprehensive guide known as Plan Giving on Demand. It is intentional that it will empower you as leaders in your congregation so that you can continually raise awareness and be knowledgeable of the important aspects about plan giving and endowments, so that you are raising trust, the level of trust among the members of your congregation, so that they would be more willing to make this type of a gift. So our Plan Giving on Demand toolkit allows you to learn at your own pace in a variety of ways, equipping you with a number of different tools, all of which you can use independently or in concert with one another. It is up to you and your leaders at your congregation to decide how to use it and at what pace, and that is the key factor here. But everything that we have as a resource for plan giving is all here, contained within the Plan Giving on Demand package. You see the program guide image on your screen. That program guide comes both in paper form, and it is on our website, which you get to access after you have a copy of Plan Giving on Demand. And in the, and I'll show this to you in a moment, in the online version of the program guide, it actually hyperlinks to anything that we're referring to. So if it says use this to find a webinar, use this for a booklet or bulletin or an article, click on the hyperlink on the online version and you will jump there directly. All to make it easier for you, cataloged in an efficient way for you. So that is what we've sought to do, and I think we've achieved it pretty well. The one last pointer I will just raise here is, if you already have a copy of Plan Giving on Demand, I'm hoping that if you're an endowment client or a capital campaign client, we've already notified your Plan Giving Shepherd who they are. But if you had bought this or are planning to buy it through Forward Movement, once you've bought it, one of the first things you can do is sign up to become a member of the National Network of Plan Giving Shepherds. Now, what on earth is a Plan Giving Shepherd? What a Plan Giving Shepherd is the term that we've given to the main one or two leaders at your congregation who are focused on planned giving. Okay? So these are the folks who are not your rector, are not your treasurer, are not your church wardens. They are people who have the time, inclination, and devotion to wanting to learn more about planned giving and have the capacity, typically a type A person is best, who can move your plan giving process forward and invite other people into the plan giving effort, starting with other leaders, because it's important to have more leaders raising awareness about plan giving. So if you have not already identified yourself or told ECF, if you're already an ECF endowment or capital campaign client, that you wish to be the Plan Giving Shepherd, I would encourage you to do so. The Plan Giving Shepherd Network, unfortunately, has been starting a little slow, but as we get more members, we're going to be able to do things just for the Plan Giving Shepherds, just for those folks who have all of the Plan Giving on-demand resources, so that we're all singing from the same hymnal, whether that's 1948 or 1982. It's for Plan Giving on Demand, it's all from the same hymnal. Okay. So, for those of you out there that don't have Plan Giving on Demand or haven't yet got it or whatever you'd like to be, the one thing I do recommend that you do right away is to think about choosing a Plan Giving Shepherd. Consider someone at your congregation who is well-respected, well-regarded, and has extra time to, one, learn about plan giving, and two, be willing to invite others into your work in the area of planned giving. It's been so important to discover this leader and have them not be the overburdened rector or your overburdened church wardens or treasurer, but someone who has the time and the inclination to do this. If you want to get started right away, Plan Giving on Demand has a quick start article to work with. It's also on our Vital Practices website. Again, I will send out this link at the end of this webinar so that you could do a quick start and get moving on your plan giving efforts right away. I'd also recommend, if you either don't wish to purchase Plan Giving on Demand and wish to search around our website, that you would go to our Vital Practices website and play the Basics of Plan Giving webinar or the Basics of other webinars, just to get a real clear sense of all of those issues that I was mentioning very quickly at the beginning of this webinar. And finally, if you don't already have in place endowment and gift acceptance policies, you can reply to the email we'll be sending and let us know, and we'll be happy to have someone who's actually on the line with me right now, Demi Prentice, who's listening into this webinar. She'd be happy to share our best practice documents with you. They will in all likelihood need to be customized to your parish, but they will be a key factor in building trust and sustaining awareness and guiding both your donors and your leaders over the long term. So I can't stress enough how important those are in your overall plan giving process. Okay, so the way we're going to go about tonight is I have a large number of screenshots, because that's pretty much the best way to deliver what the website looks like through this website. Demand. As you can see, the very first thing that it invites is to become a member of the Plan Giving Shepherd group, which is national, and I think in 2016 I'm hoping we're going to have many, many people join it, and we'll be able to have webinars that are dedicated to you as Plan Giving Shepherds, those of you who already know many of the basic materials. The other thing that I've also begun to mention is our program guide. As you can see, and I'll show you some samples of this, it looks just like the image on the screen. You get it in paper form if you wish to read it first. You also get it in an online form, which allows you to go to any of our hyperlinked resources. And the pattern of this program guide is to help you wherever you are right now. So we have designated 5 different levels, from the most basic, where you have nothing going on, to higher levels and higher levels, up to a legacy society level. And I'll mention a little bit more about this later. But just know that all of this is located directly on the main Plan Giving on Demand website, and this is where you can find it. You can also always be in contact with Meg King, our Assistant Program Director, if you have questions about any of Plan Giving on Demand, any of its resources, or plan giving in general. To continue down the page, of the main page for Plan Giving on Demand. There are numerous other resources. Funding Future Ministry. And many of you, over the past several years, may well have bought a copy of Funding Future Ministry, which is a paper document. It's a book that we put out. It's now available on ebook format as well. But you get a copy of this incorporated into your Plan Giving on Demand toolkit. So you already get a copy of this, and you get access through Plan Giving on Demand to all of the pre-existing materials for Funding Future Ministry. And I'll return to this in just a moment. This is really just your overview. On this initial page, you also have access to the Quick Start Guide, as I often call it, which is getting you started on plan giving immediately and giving you some immediate thoughts to be considering, especially at this time of year as stewardship season is underway and you're beginning to plan your program year. Plan giving booklets and brochures are all cataloged here as well, and I'll mention those in a moment, as well as all of our webinars. For those of you who have been on our webinars before, we often get very positive feedback about the vast majority of them, even though you have to look at me quite often, I'm sorry. But we do many of them on a number of different topics. I have several of them listed here, and they've all been updated on Plan Giving on Demand's main website right now. The reason that we list it in this way, as well as on the program guide, where in the program guide, as I mentioned previously, you can jump around and just click on whatever particular webinar or resource is being mentioned and just go there directly. Some people like to learn differently. Some people like to review their webinars as they wish, and that's certainly their option. They can do that through this method as well. And what's important about Plan Giving on Demand, which is a key factor that we've been able to put in place, is that as we update webinars and other resources, they will be updated on this website. So you only need to purchase Plan Giving on Demand once, and we will be populating all of these resources on an ongoing basis. Okay. So what I wanted to just show you briefly is this quick start article. I've recommended this for several years. It helps people to get started right away, and it is clearly another resource that's available to you through Plan Giving on Demand. And I'll invite you to take a look at that at your leisure. So just a brief guideline, if you will. What's really important to remember when you're getting started on plan giving is to take your time and to plan, not trying to overwhelm yourself as a leader and not trying to overwhelm the members of your congregation. You want to have a paced approach. You want to go in an appropriate manner, in a slow, appropriate manner, so that number one, you don't overwhelm people. And number two, this is an important one. We are talking about mortality and ultimacy and all of these issues that many, many Americans just do not want to deal with. And that is just the reality. And so it's important that you never come across as pushy or aggressive or trying to put out too much information too soon or too often, because people need to learn slowly, bit by bit, and perhaps, and this is all recapped in the program guide, that you may start very gently and very slowly, maybe just putting out some booklets and brochures in the back of the church, or beginning to raise awareness in ways that the program guide suggests, or having your rector mention a few things about plan giving, or possibly just having someone at an annual meeting give a testimony about why they chose to make a planned gift. But to do this slowly and gently, one step at a time, and have your plan giving shepherd, the person I mentioned before who's overseeing this effort, who's learning all of this information first, that they are overseeing this slow process. The third reason why it's important to take your time is because planned giving is different from other giving. I rushed through this at the beginning, and you can hear all about this in the various webinars, but planned giving is different. It is a gift that's typically much larger and more complex than other gifts that people would make. Most gifts come out of people's estate through a bequest in their will or their trust that they had created before they passed away. And people need the time and the space to consider what type of gift is best for them. In other webinars, you'll learn about all the different types of gifts, and I strongly recommend that you raise awareness to everyone, regardless of age or circumstance, about all of the different types of gifts, because you don't know what someone's particular best gift will be for them to plan right now. But you need to give people that space and time because of the fear of death, but also because it takes longer. Most people, when they make most planned gifts, need to consult their legal, tax, or financial advisor. They need to reach out to an attorney and revise a will. They need to inform their family that they're going to be making a change so that they make a significant bequest to your parish. Or they may be needing to set up one of our various life income gifts, like a charitable gift annuity or a charitable trust, and it takes time to consider what is an appropriate gift and when and how and what assets. And because of the complexity in that situation and all of what surrounds this, you need to allow people the space and the time, and not, as I said before, to come across as pushy or aggressive. Coming across as pushy or aggressive when it comes to planned giving will not work in your favor. People will feel that that's exactly what they're being done, that is what is being done to them, that they're being pressured, and that is not what you're seeking to do. This is a natural extension of your stewardship ministry, and you are raising awareness in culturally appropriate ways at an appropriate pace for people to learn what type of gift is best for them, and allow them to inform you that they have made this gift, and over time to allow them to let you know what type of gift that was. All of this is covered within the contents of the Plan Giving on Demand Toolkit, and these are all ways that you can get started on it. And as I said before, most of the way that we educate is through written resources, but even more so nowadays through webinars similar to this, and they're all cataloged throughout Plan Giving on Demand. And through the program guide, you can review step by step how to get started from having nothing in place to having something in place previously to moving on to the stage of having a legacy society. And that's the next thing I'm going to touch on. So I'll pause right here to just ask if anyone who joined us late, if you would like to input the name of your parish, its location, and your diocese. Also, I invite anyone, since everyone's on mute, that if you do have a question about Plan Giving on Demand or anything that I'm saying tonight, please do type that into chat, and I will be addressing those questions in just a moment. So you're welcome to type it in at any time. Okay. So the program guide, this is really the centerpiece of everything that we're doing in Plan Giving on Demand. And it is, as I say, broken down into stages from the most basic to the more complex. And the ideal would be that the Plan Giving Shepherd would learn all of the stages, realize what stage they are at, and seek to move on from stage to stage in building up this effort. And we here at the Episcopal Church Foundation are always available. We'll have our contact information at the end of this webinar, but we are always available to support you and help you as you may encounter problems. However, The reason we've set up Plan Giving on Demand is so that you're not slowed down by having to contact us. You have all the resources available to you, and you can hit the ground running. And that's what I like to say when it comes to Plan Giving on Demand. By looking at all of the resources, you can choose what you need and how you need to get started. But always, if you need to, contact us at the Episcopal Church Foundation. So let's take a peek here. This is an example of Level 1 and what the program guide would look like. As you can see, it refers to just beginning to raise awareness at the most basic level. And it immediately notes the different things you can get started on. And all of these resources that are noted will be interspersed in the rest of the program guide. I don't have a screenshot of the actual instructions. Those of you who already have Plan Giving on Demand know what comes next. But there are various things that you will immediately be able to access, such as the Starting Plan Giving from Scratch article, which I had shown previously. You can order brochures immediately from ECF and take a look by clicking through this link to see that. You can also get started with the most basic webinars. And this takes you through the steps for building up and educating your Plan Giving Shepherd and making available to the members of your congregation other webinars and resources, such as booklets and brochures, such as a webinar that is just made for donors to learn about plan giving and the different types of plan giving. So all of that is contained in here, and you can use this as you wish, because you can forward copies of any of these webinars to anyone you wish. So if you're playing a webinar and you want someone else at the congregation who may be another Plan Giving leader, a member of the vestry, your rector, and you wish to send him or her a link to the webinar, all you need to do is just copy that web address at the top of the screen when you're playing the webinar, copy it into an email and send it out. And that person can also get access. You can also do that for a donor who may be interested in learning about the different types of plan gifts. So all of these things are available and directly accessible. There is, of course, a higher stage to get to eventually. And the highest stage that we talk about is Level 5, where you are planning for a legacy society. Now, I mention this in the way I have is so that you, as a Plan Giving Shepherd or someone active in Plan Giving, can begin planning for your future efforts with a legacy society. And you can begin planning that right now. If when you read through the different material and listen to different webinars about legacy societies, which give real examples of what other parishes have done and special things they've done in the case of either workshops that they've done or events and dinners or even lapel pins that are being reviewed. These are all meant to give you ideas to think about for the future. And you as a Plan Giving Shepherd or you as a Plan Giving leader can review all of these at any time. But the note I wanted to make clear about the Legacy Society stage is that it takes about a year to a year and a half to plan to have an inaugural Legacy Society event. And many people wonder why on earth they couldn't just start right now and have a Legacy Society event in a couple of weeks, invite people in, get them all excited about giving a planned gift, and then you're done with it. Well, unfortunately, that's not how plan giving works, and is somewhat contrary to all the other direction I had been giving before about taking it slow and going in stages. A legacy society is best accomplished when you can plan for an inaugural event about a year or a year and a half from when you begin planning having a legacy society. This is all detailed in the program guide for the Legacy Society stage. And as you'll notice in the calendar, which will be provided in it, you can see from starting now to that future date all of the things you need to do. In quick summary, because you can get all of this on your own, but in quick summary, there's a few reasons that we do it in this way. Number one is just what I was saying before. You need to give people the time and space to consider what type of gift would be best for them. And you want to announce that you're going to be creating a legacy society now, and announce that you're going to be celebrating them and the new inaugural members of that society about a year to a year and a half later. The reason is to give people the opportunity and the time that they need to consider what type of gift is best for them, and for you as a congregation to have a couple of different events during that time, using the different resources that are provided through Plan Giving on Demand, such as the donor webinar. This is something I recommend on an ongoing basis, which is you can not only share the web link to the webinar that is called, it's noted here at the bottom of the screen, the donor webinar, or making a planned gift to your congregation. You not only can share that with anyone whom you wish at the parish, you can actually use that within the context of an adult forum at your parish. Most Episcopal parishes have an adult forum where they gather together parishioners between services, and they take that as an opportunity to raise awareness about a topic. Well, you could pick a particular Sunday or whenever you find appropriate during that year and a half planning time to have an adult forum and take it as an opportunity to actually play the donor webinar for the members of the parish who are there. You could start it out with someone giving a testimony for why they've chosen to make a planned gift, and then as long as you have set it up with a TV screen or a projector or whatever you have set up for people to view the webinar, they can then stay around for another 30 to 35 minutes and listen to all of the different types of planned gifts that are talked about in the donor webinar. And at the end of it, they'll be much more educated than they were before. So that's just one idea, and one idea which is shared within the content of this planning guide for putting together a legacy society. And I commend you again to take that time, because during that year to year and a half that you're doing these events, that you're raising awareness, that you're putting more material out or having people give their testimony, during all of that time you're telling people also that if they tell the parish that they have remembered the parish with a planned gift during that time, they will be invited to become an inaugural member of the Legacy Society and be able to be celebrated at that very first Legacy Society event. Now, one quick note while I'm on the topic of legacy societies, just to put in your mind out there, and that is legacy societies are one of the best ways over the long term to raise awareness about planned giving, because just by virtue of inviting people to become a member of the Legacy Society, and the only requirement of membership should be that they have pledged to make a planned gift, and they are invited to become a member of that Legacy Society. But it is just an ongoing opportunity to be raising that awareness, and this is a key factor that we found with many Episcopal parishes, having an annual Legacy Society event that follows every year after that inaugural event takes place, making sure that the leadership of the parish plans that event annually after the first time you've done it, and so that year after year after year it's going to take place. You as the leadership of the congregation become accountable to that calendar. The reason why this is so important is that many people get very excited about doing planned giving, and unfortunately, a couple of years pass by and the enthusiasm diminishes. But by putting in place a legacy society and by committing to doing some sort of annual thank you event for that legacy society year after year after year and getting it on the calendar 1 year in advance when you are planning your next program year, this is the key way to sustain commitment to planned giving and commitment to having a legacy society. So, as you can tell, this webinar is very much both and, as I mentioned before. It's both trying to give you some pointers and some thoughts while also highlighting what's in Planned Giving on Demand. As I mentioned before, there is this Making a Planned Gift to Benefit Your Congregation. This is also called the Donor Webinar. It's mentioned throughout all of the program guide and throughout the Planned Giving on Demand website. This is the one that can be given to any individual who would like, in the privacy of their own home, to listen to this webinar, or if you wish, you could play it as long as you have a connection to the internet and a setup with a projector or a TV screen that you can actually view this within the context of an adult forum. I've also already mentioned this webinar, which is the basics of planned giving. It is if there is a comprehensive webinar on planned giving in the Episcopal Church, I would say this is probably it. It's about 2 hours long, so a little bit longer. If you can't stand to stay the whole time, though I try to keep the energy up as much as I can during those 2 hours, if you can't watch it all at one time, you can watch part of it now and come back and watch part of it later. And you can tell, this is the pointer, you can tell your rector or your church warden whom you want to learn more about planned giving, you can give this webinar to them as well through a web link and say, listen to it at your own pace. If you can't get through all 2 hours at once, come back and listen to it later. In addition to those basic webinars, there are many other webinars that are available on Planned Giving on Demand. The one I brought up is one that was done by our attorneys that are available to your donors if they're thinking of creating a charitable remainder trust. And this is a webinar that may be perfect for someone who might be considering making a charitable remainder trust. But there are many other webinars, including ones that may benefit people learning about endowments, learning about legacy societies, and a variety of other topics. So I just wanted to do a few screenshots of the most popular, but also to note that there are many, many others, all of which you can take a copy of that web link and give it to anyone you would like. Our printed resources. Now, we've been putting out printed resources for planned giving for a very long time. I was actually going through some of our historical copies. It's been going on since the mid-90s, since the Episcopal Church Foundation took over the planned giving efforts of the Episcopal Church around 1995. We've revised them just a couple of years ago, and we'll be revising them again in late 2016, probably closer to 2017. All of them are available to you and directly through Planned Giving on Demand. You can download them for free. That is perfectly fine with us. Download them for free as you wish, or you may purchase them for a nominal fee. And you can purchase them through Forward Movement. And again, Planned Giving on Demand gives you the link that you need to get to them. But here's the key point and the tool I wanted to give you when you're thinking this through. It's great if your congregation can create your own planned giving booklet or brochure, similar to that one to the far left of the screen, Stewards of God's Bounty, the very basic planned giving brochure. It would be great if you as a congregation could mimic that text that's in there, create using your own communication folk at the parish, a similar brochure, putting in your own pictures, your own imagery, or your own scripture quotes that are evocative to your congregation. And you can do that. We encourage you to steal our text, and that is the bit that I wanted you to know that's so important. You can steal our text and use them to create your own booklets and brochure. This is a part of our mission to raise awareness of Plan Giving, and you are welcome to do that. You're also welcome, if you like the format, to use ours. You can put a label on them that refers them back to the members of your parish, to your Plan Giving shepherd, or to whomever you'd like at the parish, but they are there for your use. I mentioned before Funding Future Ministry. This is a comprehensive part of the Plan Giving On Demand Toolkit. You receive a printed copy if you wish. If you need additional copies of it, you may order them through Forward Movement, or you can also order them as an ebook. You can download it to your Nook or to your Kindle, whatever sort of tablet you have, and you can get that through Amazon and Barnes & Noble and other vendors for an even lower price of $9.95. So you're welcome to do that. There's a number of various resources, though, that have been in existence for a few years on Funding Future Ministry's website. You can access this directly through the ECF website or through Plan Giving On Demand. And this website for Funding Future Ministry, which is linked into everything we're doing on Plan Giving On Demand, you can access any number of things, including various articles that have been written, and something like this template, which introduces the Plan Giving program to your congregation. You have the capability through Plan Giving On Demand and through the Funding Future Ministry page and resource to literally download something like this and copy it into your various formats for your parish and pass it on. And you are welcome to do that with all of the resources that we have made available. So this is just restating things that I've already said, that Plan Giving On Demand is for your use now as well as your use in the future. It solves a number of challenges that we had as the main resource for Plan Giving for the Episcopal Church. We wanted to make all of this available in a constantly updated website, and we've achieved that with Plan Giving On Demand, but it also allows you to do this at your own pace. So I strongly encourage you, if you haven't already gotten a copy of Plan Giving On Demand, to get a hold of one. And then if you are working through it and have any questions, ECF is always here to help. What I wanted to close with is just to remind everyone about some additional resources. These are also accessible one way or another through Plan Giving On Demand, but I just wanted to highlight them so that you know about these services. In other webinars that you've heard, and you can hear them through Plan Giving On Demand, you know that the Episcopal Church Foundation is the main resource for Plan Giving in the Episcopal Church, and we are the stewards of the assets for gifts made through our Life Income Gift Program. I'm not going to bore you with the details about charitable remainder trusts or charitable gift annuities or pooled income funds, but I just did want to remind everyone that we at the Episcopal Church Foundation have that as a program, so that if you discover you have individuals who might be interested in one of those types of life income gifts where they make a gift now out of assets that they have now, receive a tax deduction, and then in exchange for that gift, they receive a flow of income, typically for the rest of their lives. We provide all the resources that those donors need for that type of gift, and we also provide illustrations, and I have just one copy of one page of the multi-page illustration that we can provide to your donors at your congregation when they are interested in making such a gift. And we have staff in place to ensure that we can help them think through what are the appropriate assets for them to use and how best to go about it. So we have all of that in place as well as a tool to assist you. Obviously, we also have in place all of the necessary state registrations and other endowment resources in place to ensure that if someone creates a charitable gift annuity, that they will receive that income guaranteed for the rest of their lives. But all of that is available, and do know that all of us here at ECF would be happy to help any of the donors in your congregation to do that. And this is just one screenshot. Another fantastic tool, which has been in place for many, many years, many of you already know about it, is our website that we make available to all Episcopal entities all across the country for free. It's called episcopalgifts.org. This is a super site, if you will, which allows individuals to go here and see in a generic way a variety of different donor stories so they can see what might be appropriate for them and their circumstances for giving a gift. It helps them to think through in the privacy of their own home what types of assets are appropriate for them to give as a planned gift and how best to give them. In addition, in the privacy of their own home, they can also run their own life income gift calculations. They're not as in-depth as the ones that ECF would share with them, but they are just fine for them to get a general idea about what type of planned gift, especially life income gift, would be appropriate for them. And of course, if they have follow-up issues or things that they need additional assistance on as a donor, the website will direct them to us. So as a tool, as a pointer in how to use this website, this is available to your parishes right now. And you are able to simply, on your stewardship page that you may already have existing, you can create another sub-page which focuses on planned giving. You could put a very brief description about what planned giving is on that website, and then simply give a link to episcopalgifts.org, and people will be directed to this site. And they would be able then to do all of these things directly on this site. The site is very generalized, so it applies for any Episcopal entity, but it allows for this information to be provided without you at your parish needing to provide it yourselves. So it's a great advantage, a great tool, and something which you can put to use immediately. This is all addressed, as you might imagine, in Plan Giving on Demand and at the different stages of when you might be planning doing something like this. So just to begin to wrap up for tonight, because we were trying to keep this to just under an hour, I want to invite anyone who does have questions to please type in your questions to the chat message. If you would prefer to ask a direct question to us personally at ECF, our contact information will be at the end of this webinar. You certainly can reach out to us directly, and we can have a direct conversation with your leadership about your own plan and how best to use Plan Giving on Demand. This is the final attempt to try and encourage people to become a Plan Giving Shepherd and to join our national network. I was actually quite surprised that even though we've sold many hundreds of copies of Plan Giving on Demand, we've had only a couple of people actually sign up as a Plan Giving Shepherd, and you can do that at any time through the main Plan Giving on Demand page. So if you haven't done so already, I encourage you to do so. We'll be setting up a number of new opportunities for this new network of Plan Giving Shepherds, new ways to communicate with each other instead of just having a webinar where I'm doing all the talking, but more opportunities for you to share your own efforts and what you're doing in your congregation. So I just would encourage you to do that. And there's one question. Well, if you bought a copy of Plan Giving on Demand through Forward Movement, it only costs $29.95. You would simply go onto the main website, and where I had showed you before, I can jump back there if you like, where it says Become a Plan Giving Shepherd. Just click on that link, and it will walk you through the sign-up process. And so that we'll have your information, we'll know that you are a Plan Giving Shepherd, and we'll be inviting you to the new events that will be taking place. Unfortunately, I'm looking forward to having you in that network, Nancy, because we don't have that many people. It was the biggest shock. I thought everyone would be signing up, and I was wrong. However, haven't given up on it. I think it's a fantastic idea because it's an opportunity to network. It's an opportunity for you to share what's gone well and what hasn't gone well, locally and nationally. Whenever I do a workshop on planned giving, and I travel a lot around the country, I start almost every workshop by having everyone introduce themselves and saying where they are from within that local diocese or local district that I'm visiting, so that they can communicate with each other, so that they can share their experiences and build their own network of Plan Giving Shepherds locally. The Diocese of Maine and a couple of other dioceses, but especially the Diocese of Maine, are doing a fantastic job of beginning to pull this together, and we at ECF are very happy to work with dioceses as they do this locally. Plan Giving on Demand is intentionally decentralized so that you can use it the way that works best for you, and so that dioceses, who hopefully are buying these in bulk and then handing them out to parishes, can create their own local networks, which ECF can support as they need it. But locally, you have typically more information than I will. So just to wrap up, if there are, let me see, Ralph, if the question is how many people around the country have a copy of Plan Giving on Demand, we're around by now close to 350 or so locations, possibly 400. And now that can't necessarily be an exact number of parishes. For the people who signed up for this webinar, we had 45 registrants, and all of them will be getting a copy of this recording. So it'll be an expanding group. And so anyone can continue to type in questions as they wish as I wrap up here. As all of you should know, we have a number of webinars that are always available. Obviously, you get a lot of them through Plan Giving on Demand. You can also access them directly if you don't want to buy Plan Giving on Demand. It isn't required. You can also visit our Vital Practices website, which is at the bottom of your screen, ecfvp.org, and you can look at all of our webinars and that site. We have some fantastic webinars coming up very soon. In fact, my goodness, September 10th is next Thursday. There'll be one on vestries. There'll be a capital campaign webinar a couple weeks after that. And I strongly urge you, if you haven't attended one of Ken Quigley's, who works for me here at ECF, one of his Basics of Endowment webinars, I strongly encourage you to attend the October 29th. That will be a great opportunity to learn all the basics about endowments. And as I said before, most planned gifts end up in endowments, and that's because if you're using an endowment properly, you are holding it for the future mission and ministry of the congregation for the ultimate long term. That is in concert with what people want out of a planned gift. You see my ugly mug one more time on the screen, along with the handsome Ken Quigley and the lovely Meg King. We're all here to serve you, to help you do what God's called you to do in this very special ministry of planned giving, which is, as I say, just a very natural extension of your stewardship ministry. And do just remember one thing before I take some of these last questions. No matter how technical you end up getting, and I try to stay as least technical as possible, but when you go through all of Plan Giving on Demand and gaining your knowledge and gaining insight, always remember all of Plan Giving comes back to this same heart, which is when an individual makes that gift, they are raising your parish to the level of family in their estate plans. That's such a crucial thing to understand, because everything comes out of that. The way you treat people, the way you communicate with people, the way you thank them, you need to do it in the way that demonstrates that you understand how important that gift is to the individual giving it, because it's crucially important to them, and they truly want to be a part of your future mission and ministry, and that's why they're making that gift. Okay. I have a question from my buddy Leroy Cooper, who I'll soon be seeing when I'm out in Wisconsin. Milwaukee Diocese is just beginning to identify plain giving champions, a.k.a. shepherds. That's fine. I don't care if you change the name. Endousement, yes. God willing, yes. I'm really hoping for it, Leroy. I think it'll go really well. And again, that is a perfect example of what we dream about in the work we do at ECF, to empower you to take the best practices, to take the tools that we put out there and use them as is appropriate for your particular context. The wonderful Milwaukee Diocese is taking charge, and they've been working on this for some time. I've been working with them for a couple of years, but they are really making it their own. And for heaven's sake, there's no reason that you can't change names of certain things. That's perfectly fine. So I haven't seen any other questions come through, and we have reached our time for the evening. So again, please contact us if we can be of any assistance to you. I hope this webinar has been helpful. And just wishing everyone God's blessing as the fall begins, as we begin a new school season, as we continue on the fall into a new church year in Advent, and wishing everyone a very blessed evening. Thank you for attending tonight. Have a wonderful evening.